If you're wondering whether WordPress is better than Shopify for blogging, this conversation is for you. We're going to jump in and talk about all the details. Kyle, you ready to do this?
I'm ready to do this. Hey, he's Jason Miles. I'm Kyle Hamer, and we are e-commerce coaches that help sellers scale across sales channels. And in this tip of the week, we're talking about blogging. And one cool thing about blogging, Jason, you are very familiar with blogging. In fact, you've got the street cred to prove it. You've got 24,000 blog comments in 12 days, and we'll have a link to that article that we talked about that before. And because we talk about blogging a lot, we often get a question around what's the best platform to do blogging on. And that comes down to Shopify or WordPress often. And so we want to talk about that. Jason, we'd love to jump into that. Give me your thoughts. Shopify versus WordPress for blogging.
Yeah, I love the topic. And I'll just say I like both platforms, to be really honest. My first blog effort was straight WordPress.com site. I paid for a premium URL. It was called marketingonpinterest.com. It's still out there, but it's just a hosted WordPress blog. And I haven't blogged on it for years. And now that when I look at it, I'm like, ooh, but it was out there and it helped me get a book deal with McGraw-Hill. And so WordPress is fantastic. Shopify is also incredible. So I thought I would just talk about a few factors that make them different. And I would say the number one thing to ask yourself if you're debating the merits of which platform is what's your long-term use case? Mm-hmm. Because if your long-term use case is e-commerce and selling anything, t-shirts or books or whatever it is, Shopify is the place to be. It is built for e-commerce. It's built for the, just the elegance and the sophistication of the shopping cart. And it's just, if you want to do e-commerce, just trust me, Shopify is the place to be for it. We did e-commerce on WordPress for years, and it's just painful and ugly compared to Shopify. So the use case is the first question. And, but if you say to yourself, well, I'm just, I want to do article, blogging and share thoughts and ideas, maybe information in general, build a tribe, then WordPress is definitely a choice. And so that's the first question. And there's nuance there. WordPress comes in two big buckets. There's, WordPress.com, which is basically a hosted solution. And you can set it up for free, have a free blog. And if you pay a little bit more, you can have a, vanity URL or your custom URL. But it's all hosted on their servers, and they take care of all of the back end, stuff, security, and that kind of thing. And then the other WordPress option is self-hosted. And I really dislike self-hosted WordPress systems. I'm not a fan. It's a scam, in my opinion, almost. Right. I mean, it's close to being a scam. It's just not a good solution in my view. And I lived in that world for like 5 years for our business. So, I lived through the pain of it. So I would just say this: if you're going to go with WordPress, I would just say go with WordPress.com they host it for you, and use their themes, and you're good. It's the cheapest path for sure. Like you could literally be up and going for free if you pay for a vanity URL. I think it's like $9 a year or something like that. Mm-hmm. So, if that's just your goal is content and, you want a good solution, I'd say WordPress.com is the answer there. If you look at Shopify, there are pros and cons to it. It integrates into your e-commerce selling. So if you have widgets or t-shirts or shoes or like whatever it is, you have the opportunity to integrate and create blog posts that really add huge value to your e-commerce selling. The article that you mentioned or the prior conversation we've done about 24,000 blog comments in 12 days, that's in association with a program we run every year called our 12 Days of Christmas. And you can go back. We'll have in the show notes a link to that conversation where I show all the details. I can show you all of the blog posts that, you can look and see all the comments. So you can go back and kind of audit, that claim. And the powerful part of that system is those blog, posts are directly tied into us promoting products and asking people if they want to buy something. And it's just all on the same website. So it's powerful that way. I would say the detraction for Shopify blogging is Shopify does not have a very elegant or aesthetically pleasing blog, tool or blog system. Now, I've heard that they're going to release a new editing tools for their blogs and pages, but they haven't, yet. So a lot of people will
Mhm.
use a app called Shogun
Mhm.
Page Builder to really spruce up their Shopify blogs and really make them kind of look cooler. We always just kind of went with the core functionality of the Shopify blog, and we've just made it work, and it can work. But that's the only downside. Um, an upside for Shopify is you can have actually multiple blogs on one
Mhm.
domain, on one URL, which is just completely foreign concept to WordPress.
Sure.
WordPress is like, you've got a website, it is a blog, or
Right.
you got a website and there is
Yeah.
a blog on your website. But with Shopify, you can have as many blogs as you want,
Mhm.
and that way you really parse out content, in unique ways. I don't know. So these are a few thoughts.
Yeah.
What's your reflection on what I've
I
shared so
think
far?
No, I totally agree. I also think though it's really interesting because Shopify has made real inroads in sort of leveling the SEO value of a blog
Hmm.
that WordPress sort of owned for a long period of time. Like you think
Yeah.
of the best blogs, the best websites on the internet for SEO, WordPress was there and largely driven by the plugins that they would be built for WordPress
Hmm.
specifically. And I think the App Store on Shopify, I think Shopify's core functionality as a whole has really made it a real uh, inroads into improving SEO. To it's
Yeah.
basically kind of leveled a lot of that stuff out, and I don't think there's really a huge competitive advantage to WordPress as as it used to be
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean a lot of those SEO tools that you would have to get plugins for WordPress are now actually natively built into Shopify on the product level, at the category level, all those things at the blog level for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess that's just to recap. So in terms of price, if you want the absolute cheapest way to blog and you don't have a e-commerce plan in the future, WordPress.com.
WordPress would be it. Yeah.
And then if you want to do e-commerce, then you want to go Shopify. And you can be into the entry level Shopify plan. I think for $29 a month now is the entry level plan. And then the plan we always encourage our coaching clients to get is this like $79 a month plan, because it has analytics and it really helps you see a lot of the dashboard reporting and detail for your site. But
For sure.
anyway, from 29 to 79
Yeah,
kind of gives you that range of options. So it's a little bit more expensive, but a lot more bang for your buck too.
for
So,
sure. One of the questions, real quickly, that we get about Shopify and WordPress specifically is could I use both platforms? Like, could I use a WordPress blog connected to my Shopify store? And is that a good idea or not?
yeah, I mean, it's a horrible idea. You can
Yeah,
technically do it.
sure.
You can have a Shopify system that you set up as basically an inventory management and like a POS system, and even have it set up so you just insert buttons into
Mhm.
your like WordPress
Yeah.
website. Why you would do that, I have no idea. I mean, it just
Right.
doesn't make any sense.
Exactly.
So I wouldn't encourage that. I would just say if you're going to have e-commerce
Mhm.
efforts going, just go straight to Shopify,
Mhm.
and you'll be. I mean, at least in our experience, we were thrilled. We literally
Right.
were like, we can't believe our business just got this easy,
Yep.
because WordPress was such a pain to manage. And the problem with WordPress, at least for our use case, not to cry you a river or whatever, but in a hosted or self-hosted system, sorry, there's just so many points of failure in a
Yeah.
WordPress site.
Right.
There's ways in which it will break. And that was the biggest downside. And there are systems you can install to make sure it doesn't break, but nonetheless, you're ultimately in the hands of a hosting company.
Yeah.
And we would always just worry to death. We'd kick off a
Mhm.
big sale or promotion. We'd go to bed, it starts at midnight or whatever, however we set it up. We wake up 5 a.m. and like, man, our site's been crashed since 2 a.m. We just lost all these sales. This uptime was just always a
Yeah.
problem for the self-hosted WordPress. So that's the reason I'm just not a fan of it at all
Sure.
for e-commerce. Yeah.
So the moral of that story is don't go super, super, super cheap. Spend some money, get
Yeah.
some level of managed hosting so that you don't have to be the IT person for your company as well as the business owner and blogger and content creator.
Well, I think that the whole idea of self-hosted sites is just a done
Yeah.
bygone idea.
Yeah.
I really think like WordPress.com had the original idea, which was
Mhm.
it's hosted. Like
Yeah.
that's how Blogger was and how WordPress.com is. And that's how Shopify is. Shopify
Mhm.
is a hosted
Yep.
solution. You never think about the server
Mm-mm.
issues or anything like that, security or anything like that with Shopify. They do all that stuff for you.
Yeah.
And you really want them to, because it's
Mhm.
just a hassle. So anyway, to sum up,
Exactly.
you should blog.
You should blog.
And you should watch our prior episode about how to get 24,000 comments in 12 days, or how we do it and how you could replicate a similar idea, and use it to really create a community and drive value for your business. And we really wish you guys all the best. Kyle and I do coaching with e-commerce sellers. And if that is of interest, you could check out the links on this website. We have an application process we go through. We work with people who are kind of a good fit for us, and we're a good fit for them. We'd love to invite you to check that out if it's of interest. So thanks for
Absolutely.
hanging out with me on this one, man.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. I always love chatting about blogging. And if you are watching, leave us a comment or connect with us. Let us know about your blogging endeavors as well. If you have questions about blogging, we'd love to connect and be of service and help in the future.
Absolutely. Yep. See you, man.
Bye.